The film begins with 12-year-old Abigail performing in a ballet recital. Two male crooks picks up a female criminal and they drive towards Abigail's home. A getaway driver, sniper, and hacker were among the another three people waiting for orders outside her house. The first three entered Abigail's room when she was done, hiding there while they waited. Using a tranquilizer to make her docile, the three inside kidnap her and drag her into the van. They sneak through the streets and eventually come to a mansion. Upon meeting Lambert, the group's leader, the members are given code names: Joey, Frank, Sammy, Dean, Peter, and Rickles, to avoid using their real names in the operation. The plan is to kidnap Abigail from her affluent father for a $50 million ransom, which will be divided into $7 million for each of the two parties after a day. Before he leaves, Lambert removes their phones and tells them not to show their faces to Abigail. The thieves get together to socialize and drink. Each of the three men bets money that Joey cannot read them, yet Joey accurately surmises that Frank is a former police officer, Peter was a mafia enforcer in Quebec, and Sammy is a wealthy individual who enjoys engaging in illegal activity. She also pointed out that Rickles was formerly in the military and Dean is not a professional. Joey is assigned to oversee Abigail, despite her reluctance to carry out the plan because she didn't know the target was a child. Joey later visits Abigail and they share a quick moment of bonding. Joey shares that she has a son and expresses sympathy for her while pledging to keep Abigail safe. Abigail acknowledges that her father won't pay the ransom and doesn't care about her. Abigail apologizes to Joey for what is about to happen to her before Joey leaves. After confiding in Frank that she was scared of what Abigail had said to her as she left the room, Joey asks him who the girl's father is. Frank couldn't answer because he didn't know. Frank walks unexpectedly into Abigail's room, where she sees his face, startled by what she had said. With his gun up, he confronts her and asks to know who her father is. Abigail says it's Christophe Lazar, and Frank becomes quite scared. Frank tried to exit the mansion, but the others stopped him. After they had Frank tell them about Abigail's father, they talked about what to do next. Frank informed them that Lazar is a well-known crook from the underworld. During Frank's police career, he was assigned a case against Lazar in which 4 of his colleagues were murdered by Valdez, who they suspect to be Lazar's hitman. Ultimately, they decided to finish the mission, which had only been assigned for 24 hours, and collect the ransom money. After then, they are all free to get out of the country. They search the mansion to make sure there was no intruders. Joey and Rickles talk about watching each other's backs. When everyone goes to pick a room to relax and wait, Dean tries to flirt with Sammy but doesn't succeed. He descends into the basement, where he is hauled off by a shadowy figure. When Sammy investigates after hearing him scream, she discovers Dean and as she touches him, his head falls off his body. When the others discover the deceased, they start to panic. In their fear, they discuss the possibility of Valdez finding their hideout and killing Dean. They check on Abigail and finds her still in the room. Rickles says he's out and started making his way to the front door, but they are trapped within the estate by security measures. Peter tries to break the iron bars but couldn't. Joey goes back to Abigail's room to ask if she has seen any other person in the house apart from them. Abigail lies by telling Joey that Frank still works for her father and is actually Valdez. In private, Joey and Rickles debate if Frank is really Valdez and is attempting to take out the group by himself in order to collect the ransom money. The same assailant mauls Rickles to death as they attempt to escape the estate. Frank then advises Peter to simply kill Abigail, but Joey intervenes to dissuade him. They didn't listen. When they get to her room, Abigail transforms into a vampire. Abigail lunges towards the group, but Frank tries to shoot her in the head. She recovers fast and pursues them once more. They succeeded in leaving the room. At that point, the crew begins attempting to determine how to cope with this kind of vampire. They target the standard clichés: stakes, crosses, garlic cloves, and silver bullets. As Abigail is dancing with Dean's corpse, they attempt to ambush her. After obtaining Peter's cross necklace, Abigail begins stabbing him. Sammy likewise tries to utilize garlic but fails. A wooden spike is used to stab Frank in the leg. They return to Joey after abandoning their quest. Joey informed them about her strategy. After luring Abigail outside, They would give her an injection of a sedative, which has previously been shown to be effective. They split up and set off to find Abigail. Sammy tumbles into a pool filled with the corpses of Abigail's earlier victims. When Abigail hears her yelling, she chases after her and Peter. Abigail is unaffected by their ineffectual onslaught because of her power and quickness, which enable her to overwhelm the group and stop them from stabbing her in the heart with wooden stakes. During the altercation, Abigail bites Sammy. Using the same tranquilizer they used on Abigail during the abduction, Joey eventually succeeds in taking her down. In the end, they imprison her. Frank tries to threaten Abigail as she wakes up, but Abigail reads the group and tells them all who they really are. Sammy, whose true name is Jessica, fled after robbing her parents. She also mentions that Peter's real name is Terrence and that he was formerly a mafia thug with no intelligence. In the past, Frank arrested some criminals to stand as witnesses in the trial against Abigail's father before Abigail killed them and left their disfigured remains for Frank to discover. Frank, who goes by the name Adam, was actually employed by Abigail's father once. Last but not least, Joey's true name is Anna Lucia. She was a former army medic before developing a morphine addiction that led to her unintentionally cutting a prominent criminal's artery. This is how Abigail and her father found out about Joey and also the reason she lost custody of her son. Because of their ties to Lazar, the others were singled out by him and given to Abigail as food by Lambert. Although Abigail claims that Lazar never loved her and that she also likes playing with her food, Joey informs Abigail that she believes Abigail is acting on this to gain her father's love. Peter wants to let Abigail go free because she promised she wouldn't kill him, but Joey shoots him in the stomach in order to stop him. When they leave to treat his wounds, Abigail is supposed to be under Frank's supervision, but she manages to escape and tries to strangle him. In order to expose Abigail to sunshine, Joey smashes through the boarded windows, which does severe harm to her. Only a few hours before dusk, the group divides up to find a way out. But Abigail starts manipulating Sammy like a puppet as her vampire tendencies take over. She kills Peter in the end and drains his blood. Sammy explodes into bloody chunks before she can reach Joey and Frank because Joey reflects sunlight toward her. When Joey and Frank search for a means to turn off the security system at the mansion, they discover Lambert in a control room. He discloses that he is also a vampire and acknowledges that he brought the offenders there so that Abigail could be fed, and that there would never be any ransom money. In order to defeat Lazar and Abigail, Lambert gives Frank the opportunity to join them by transforming him into a vampire as well. After accepting and getting bitten, Frank stakes Lambert and explodes him shortly after. Frank then pursues Joey but Abigail interrupts. He overpowers Abigail and bites her, all in an attempt to seize control of Lazar's company. He drinks her blood till she is out cold. Joey unlocks the security doors and ran. Cornered, in a phone message to her kid, Joey expresses her regret for being away from him for so long. When Frank finally catches up to her, they get into a fight. When Abigail shows there, she joins forces with Joey to take on Frank, but Frank is too strong for them. After that, Frank bites Joey with the intention of turning her as well and controlling her as his puppet. He then instructs her to kill Abigail, but she fights against his manipulation. After telling Joey that she can kill the vampire who bit her, Abigail and Joey team up to overpower Frank and stab him, which causes him to explode and instantly heals Joey. As night sets and Joey gets ready to go, she encounters Lazar personally. He reveals to Joey that he has gone by a number of identities, the most well-known of which she can probably guess. As he is about to murder Joey, Abigail intervenes and informs Lazar that Joey assisted in rescuing her from Frank. By doing this, Lazar and Abigail allow Joey to continue living and go find her son, Caleb. In order to find Caleb, Joey climbs into a vehicle and leaves. Don't forget to click the like and subscribe button. Thanks for your support. The end.